Hi, today in this episode we are going to learn how to use first inversion chords. So the first inversion chord is where we alter the voicing so that the third note of the root position triad, the middle note of the root position triad, that note is moved to the bass voice. Let's see, like for example here, in this chord here, I'll be demonstrating in F major today. So F major chord, and of course FAC, the A is in the bass voice. So that alters the voicing and it creates variety. And of course it's the third note of the chord, the middle note of the triad, that determines if a chord is major or minor. So it's a sensitive note. So it expands the emotional depth of harmony when you use first inversion chords. But it has another advantage. If we only used root position chords, bass lines would leap around a lot more. So the composers throughout the centuries saw the advantage of using first inversion because it allowed them to create melodic moving lines in the bass line. And that, of course, was very useful because then it allowed composers to use imitative techniques for thematic development in the bass voice. So you can quote themes quite easily. If you know how to work chords by inversion, then you can work themes into the bass voice as well as the upper voices. So it was an essential part of counterpoint from the Renaissance through into the Baroque era. So first inversion becomes a vital tool for making harmony flow. The goal of four-part harmony is that each of the voices move independently. Now, of course, the exercises of four-part harmony that you're completing for fourth grade are elementary, so there's not a great opportunity for creating florid counterpoint, but we are learning some of the important ingredients that lead you in that direction. So trying to make bass lines flow by stepwise moving bass lines are fantastic. And so using first inversion chords is an essential part of that process. Okay. So in fourth grade, there's a couple of procedures that are common and that they want you to know and understand. So what are we going to learn today? Well, we have chord 1 to 1B. So just the letter B means first inversion. So here is a useful way of extending the harmony of chord 1 using the root position and then moving to the first inversion. It's a very useful way to extend the use of the chord's harmony, but not just repeating the same bass note and voicing. So to move from 1 to chord 1 first inversion extends the harmony. Now this is commonly applied where you can change the voicing, exchange the voices so that if you have the third in the melody and it steps to 1, you've got 3 to 1 in the melody, you can have 1 to 3 in the bass voice. So that's the first example, and that can be applied to all of those chords. So you can do it with chord 2, chord 4, chord 5, and chord 6. Sometimes it really helps depending on what melodic options are given to you. Because any chance that you can use a first inversion chord can really help not only create variety in the harmony, but it can seriously help you avoid consecutives as well. Because in a first inversion chord, you know, it's a 3 and a 6 above the lowest note. If we were to draw the first inversion chord in close position, well, there's a 3rd and a 6th above that lowest note. So Whereas the root position has that rigid, perfect fifth, just glaring. Okay, so that's the first idea. The next use of first inversion is what I call the step up and the step down. Also incredibly useful. This is probably the most effective use of first inversion because this creates stepwise motion in the bass voice. So it's very important to try to learn some of these procedures. So here's an example where I have chord 5 moving to chord 1. I should just put that there for you. Chord 5, B, and first inversion moving to chord 1. Just so you can see that. Oops, little chord 1. We want a big chord 1. So I use capitals for major triads and lowercase for minor triads. The AMEB don't tend to do that, but that's okay. So here we have chord 5 in first inversion moving to chord 1. Now I want you to see the logic of this because it is extremely logical. So if we have a look, chord 5 in first inversion, guess which note is now moved to the bass voice? So the third of chord 5, the E, is now in the bass voice. And of course, the E is the leading note of the scale. So look at the logic of this. Here we have the leading note of the scale rising to the tonic. So as a voicing solution, there's a natural pull in this voicing. So this is very strong. We have a lovely contrary motion between the bass and the soprano, but furthermore enhanced by the leading note rising to the tonic. Okay, so that's a very, very strong voicing. And of course, we have that stepwise motion in the bass. Now, if that's logical, it'll be just as logical for any of these other options. And then finally, we have the step down. So here I have chord 4 in first inversion and stepping down to chord 5. And it becomes very simple with the other voices. Okay, so there's our examples and you can use those. Now, how do we apply it? Well, I have an example here. This melody is a little bit weird because I've tried to deliberately infuse it with lots of first inversion options. Since I'm doing a lesson on it, why don't I just fiddle with the melody and make that happen? So that's what I've done, just so that I can look impressive. So first of all, here's chord 1, first inversion, going to chord 1. So 1, and you'll see in the melody we have 1 to 3, and then the bass voice we have 3 to 1. Okay, so that's the example we demonstrated before. Then here I have chord 4, first inversion, moving to chord 4, and again 1 to 3. When I say 1 to 3, now I'm talking about the notes in the chord. So I'm talking about chord numbers, right? The root note, the 1 of chord 4 going to the 3 of chord 4. So just so you don't get confused what I'm talking about. But because it's going 1 to 3, we're going 3 to 1 in that chord 4. And so you can see the contrary motion benefits of doing that is huge. Okay, so we have, here we have chord 1, first inversion, going to chord 4. So here's the step up option. And so what I'm going to show you is how we can actually figure that out. Now, of course, in 4th grade AMEB, they want you to do that. They encourage you for the approach chord to actually be a first inversion chord. Okay, here's 5B moving to 1. So you can see how much that creates stepwise motion in the bass. There's stepwise motion. And here's stepwise motion. So I have chord 5B going to 1, then to 2, then to 1B, 1 first inversion, stepping up to 4. So you can see how the formulas are applying, and look at the scale motion I've been able to achieve in the bass voice. All right, now let's see if we can apply ourselves here. Now, how do we do this effectively? Well, if we take, here's 1B to 4. What we're looking for is two notes side by side where the first note belongs to chord 1 and the next note belongs to chord 4. Right? Because we have, if we were going to use this example, 1B to 4, well, we have chord 1 and chord 4. So if we can find two notes together where the first one belongs to chord 1 and the next one belongs to chord 4, then we're sweet. We can do it. Now, it just so happens, it's not like I prepared it earlier or anything, it just so happens C belongs to chord 1. So chord 1 being F, A, C. And B flat belongs to chord 4. Voila. What a miracle. So, could I use this formula? Well, what we have to check is that we're not going to double the third of chord 1. So, if I did use chord 1 first inversion, am I doubling the third? No, I'm not, so everything's fine. So then that can just step up there. Now, if you look here, we've got chord 5. How convenient is that? Now, if we tried one of our step down options, if it was 1 to 2, we'd be looking for a note that belongs from chord 1 and a note that belongs in chord 2. Or chord 4 to chord 5, do I see here a note belonging to chord 4 and a note belonging to chord 5? I think I do. So, how convenient is that? And furthermore, look at my stepwise bass line here. And again, there's a high probability, in fact, that's not hidden consecutives there, but I'm just going to move that up the octave just for the contrary motion effect. Look at this. Wow. So I just wanted to demonstrate the way the use of first inversion can so often create scale motion in the bass and even give you an ascending scale like that. Now, it's not always going to happen like that, but it is amazing. Once you learn to spot it, that's the trick. Then it is amazing how many times that can actually happen. Okay, so there's an example. 1B to 4, going to 5, and then 4B to 5. Got the step down, the step up, the step down. Okay, and it all could be worked out by taking the chord formulas and just looking for two notes side by side that use that formula. And of course, with the primary triads, just make sure you're not doubling the third because we've got the third in the bass. So that's all you need to be careful with. And then your harmony will be extremely sophisticated. So I might complete this and I might just post an audio of this so that you can hear the effect. I might throw in a double bass as well just to hear the bass line. All right, so I'll add that as well. Bye for now.